If you're listening to this late at night, don't pause the video, because this story isn't about something that attacks you, it's about something that waits until you forget who you are. There's a place in the United States that doesn't appear on Google Maps anymore, not because it's abandoned, not because it was destroyed, but because people who enter it come back empty. No memories, no fear, no explanation, and some don't come back at all. This is the story of a place that doesn't want your life. It wants your identity. In 1996, a remote research facility operated quietly in northern Nevada. Officially, it was just a geological monitoring station tucked away from prying eyes. There were no signs on the road leading to it. No visitors were ever allowed. No public records even acknowledged its specific purpose. The locals, however, had a name for it. They called it the Quiet Zone, and they called it that for a very good reason. Once you crossed a certain invisible point on a desolate road, your car radio would crackle into static. Your phone would lose all signal, and even the sound of the wind whipping across the desert seemed to disappear. All that was left was silence, a kind of silence that feels heavy, like a physical presence pressing in on you, the kind that makes the sound of your own breathing feel loud and intrusive. For a few years, the facility operated without any major public incidents. Workers went in, workers came out. The secrecy held. But then came the first official report, the one that cracked the silence open. It involved a graduate student named Ethan Cole. Ethan was bright, ambitious, and had been granted temporary access to assist with some routine soil testing. He was supposed to be inside for 3 hours, and 3 hours later, he walked back out, just as scheduled. But something was wrong. He was smiling, a calm, pleasant smile, too calm. When his supervising professor greeted him by name, Ethan just looked at him with polite confusion. He didn't recognize his own name. He was rushed to a medical center, where a battery of tests was run. Doctors found absolutely nothing wrong with him. His brain scans were normal, his blood work was clean, he was physically healthy. But when they asked him about his life, about his childhood, his family, or even why he was in Nevada, he gave the same placid, detached answer every single time. I think I just arrived. His personal history, his identity, everything that made Ethan. Ethan was gone, wiped clean. Ethan's case was just the beginning. Over the next 2 years, the problem escalated. At least 17 other personnel reported similar, deeply unsettling effects. The experiences varied, but they all revolved around a distortion of time and memory. Some would report losing a few hours. They'd walk into a lab at 9 in the morning and feel like they'd only been working for minutes, only to look up and see it was past noon. Others lost entire days, with no recollection of what they had done or where they had been. One of the most disturbing cases involved an engineer. He insisted, with complete certainty, that he had gone inside the main building for just 10 minutes to check a server, but when security reviewed the camera footage, they were horrified. The timestamp showed he had been inside for 9 hours straight, and for those entire 9 hours the footage showed him standing completely still in the middle of a hallway. Not asleep, not unconscious, his eyes were open, he was just waiting, as if paused by an unseen force. What was happening inside that building? Was it a chemical leak, a psychological phenomenon? The strangest detail came from the employees themselves. Everyone who spent time in the inner wing of the facility reported the exact same sensation. It wasn't fear, it wasn't dizziness or nausea. It was the distinct feeling that something was gently reading their thoughts. They described it not as an aggressive or painful intrusion, but more like the feeling of someone quietly flipping through the pages of a book. Your memories, your emotions, your private thoughts. Slowly, methodically. It was a violation so subtle. Most didn't even realize how profound it was until it was too late. The place wasn't just silent, it was listening. Then came the tape. In 2001, a night guard named Harold Finch, a man known for his meticulous and by-the-book nature, started to suspect that the strange occurrences were not random. He decided to document his shift using a small handheld camcorder. He wanted proof of the unease that hung in the air. The footage he captured is only 47 seconds long. It's grainy, shaky, and shows nothing more than an empty, sterile hallway. White walls, flickering fluorescent lights, absolute silence. For about 40 seconds, nothing happens. Then, just as you start to think the tape is useless, a voice whispers. It's not Harold's voice. It's clear.com, and seems to come from everywhere at once. The voice says just 4 words. Don't think so loud. Harold Finch vanished that same night. There was no sign of a struggle, no forced entry. All his personal belongings were still in the security office. The only thing out of place was the camera, sitting neatly on his desk, as if it had been placed there for someone to find. Harold was never seen again. After Harold's disappearance, the few remaining employees began to talk, sharing stories they had kept secret for years. They spoke of a particular room, one that didn't exist on any of the facility's official blueprints. It had no door number, no label on the wall. It was just a blank, anonymous door at the end of a forgotten corridor. They said that anyone who went into that room was never the same person when they came out. The stories were fragmented, whispered in fear. One woman reportedly walked out of the room crying, but not from fear or sadness. She was crying from pure, overwhelming confusion. She kept repeating the same cryptic phrase over and over. It showed me who I was before I was born. She resigned the very next day and refused to ever speak of it again. What did she see? What could possibly show you something from before your own existence? Finally, in 2004, the government officially shut the facility down. The public reason given was structural instability in the building. A convenient, boring explanation designed to stop any further questions. But here's the thing, no demolition ever happened. No crews were ever sent in to tear it down. If you look at satellite images of that remote patch of Nevada desert today, the building is still standing untouched, unchanged, waiting even now. Years after the shutdown, the story isn't over. Hikers and explorers who venture near that restricted region report strange things. They say that as they get closer to the old facility, their own thoughts feel louder, more pronounced, as if they're being projected outward for something to hear. Some claim they'll suddenly forget why they stopped their car or what trail they were trying to find, standing confused for minutes before the feeling passes. And a few, the ones who get closest, swear they hear a calm, disembodied voice on the wind, a voice that sounds almost inviting. It says, "Stay, you're almost empty." But here is the single most important question, the part that no scientist or investigator has ever been able to explain. Every single person who lost their memories inside that facility lost only their personal identity. They remembered how to speak English. They remembered professional skills, like how to be an engineer or a biologist. They remembered general knowledge and facts about the world. But they couldn't remember their own name, their mother's face, or the feeling of their first love. It's as if something was specifically targeting and consuming only the essence of who they were. It wasn't interested in knowledge. It was only interested in consciousness itself. So what if the place wasn't haunted by a ghost? What if it wasn't a military experiment gone wrong? What if it was something far stranger? What if the place itself was simply curious, a non-human intelligence trying to understand the most elusive concept of all? What it feels like to be a person, to be an individual. And when it finishes learning everything it can from you, it lets you go, an empty shell. Or, like Harold Finch, it finds you so interesting that it decides to keep you. So if you ever find yourself alone, and the silence feels like it's paying attention, if it feels like your thoughts don't belong only to you anymore, don't panic. Don't try to run. Just do one thing. Remember who you are. Hold on to that feeling with everything you have, because some places don't kill you, they erase you. And once you're empty enough, they don't need you anymore. Thanks for watching. If stories like this are what you look for in the dark, make sure to subscribe. You never know what's waiting in the silence.